first day of high school. Before my feet ever hit the sidewalk, upperclassmen pick me up, flip me on my head, and they throw me in a trash can. While my face is pinned up against whatever breakfast was left over for the morning, my contacts fell out and they spat on me. And then I went to the assembly. And that was the first day. My name is Joe. I'm a travel writer, photojournalist, and somehow an explorer. So, Miss Kreider's class. Well, it's been about 10 years since I was in Miss Kreider's class, but she sent me a couple questions, and I might have some answers that I can help you guys out with. Question 1. Why are we bound to certain places? That is a tricky question. It's one I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But I'll say this. We are bound to certain places because we allow ourselves to be bound to certain places. Some of them you can't control. Crockett County, where you're at right now. You are bound to that place as your home, just like I was bound to Haywood County as my home. But those places do not define you. So many people live their lives without ever realizing they can bind themselves to as many places as they want. I know people in my life that are bound to Vietnam, they're bound to California, that are bound to Antarctica or Egypt. You can bind yourself to as many places as you want to, but to do it, you have to go there. I know that it might be tempting to take the bait, stay in your bubble, and be afraid of the big world out there. People that don't sound like you, people that don't worship like you, people that don't believe what you believe. But let me tell you, in my experience, all around the world, in general, people are pretty cool. So it's definitely worth getting outside of your box to find yourself somewhere else other than where you're from. Because if you think about it, you'll always have home, but you might not have an opportunity to add the next place, and the next place, and the next place. So seize that when it comes. Question 2. Damn it. Sorry, this thing keeps falling. I'm just going to hold it. Question 2. What motivates people to explore the unknown? I think a couple of things motivate people to explore the unknown. The first thing usually is that they have something to prove. A lot of the early explorers set out to prove that they would be the first person to reach the North Pole or the South Pole. And they were trying to prove something in addition to learning, which is the second reason that people explore. Learning is so important. I know it sounds really lame right now because you're in school and you have to learn, but when you grow up, learning is actually pretty sweet. So I think most exploration these days is done with learning in mind. You have scientists in the field, you have archaeologists, researchers, astronauts. All of these people aren't really going somewhere to prove they can do it, that's called adventuring. The explorers are going out to learn something. There's an old adage that I read in an article from Survivor Man Les Stroud recently. And the adage is that an adventurer comes back and tells you what they did. An explorer comes back and tells you what they learned. So why do people explore the unknown? I think learning. I think a long time ago it was fame. Certainly nobody getting famous now. Question 3. What happens when cultures collide? Wow, that's a great question. When I look back at growing up in Brownsville, 20-30 minutes from where you're at now, I think about the culture clash that was going on there when I was your age. You know, one of the reasons I got thrown in the trash can was because I was a skater. I was listening to Weezer and Metallica, and I wasn't running around listening to Tim McGraw and all that crap. No offense. And because of that, I was targeted by older people that thought I was weird. But if you look at what's behind me right now, the Mississippi River here at Memphis, think about Beale Street. Think about Elvis. Think about B.B. King. Think about Carl Perkins in Jackson. All of these people became famous when culture collided. Black music and white music came together and they made rock and roll. And rock and roll went all over the world and came back in a new form called hip-hop. And hip-hop's what all of you guys were listening to on the way to school today or on the way home. Or if you're doing class from home, you're probably listening to it in your break time. But cultures can collide in other ways. When I was in Vietnam, I witnessed one of the most powerful culture collisions I've ever seen. I was part of it. I left with some friends a few years ago to go to this country that we'd only heard about on the History Channel in war stories, maybe from a veteran. Horrific tales, right? And we didn't know what to expect. We land in Ho Chi Minh City and we pretend for a few days to be Australians. It's a true story. We didn't want any of the locals to treat us differently because we were American. But what we quickly found out one day was that we were totally wrong. About 3 days into our trip, we rented a van, 6 of us. We're going from one Vietnamese city to another. It's in the middle of the country, through all of this jungle and rolling mountains, and it's a monsoon. The van breaks down. It's just stuck. It stops in the middle of the road in Vietnam. Viet-frickin-Nam, okay? Serious. So we're in a bit of a panic, and the driver jumps out of the van and runs into this cafe on the side of the road. And when I say cafe, I don't mean like Starbucks. No, I mean it was like a shack with a mud floor with chickens and cats and plastic chairs like you would sit in elementary school, like tiny toddler-sized chairs. And we realized when we looked at the map that we were in the DMZ. The border between North and South Vietnam in the 60s. It was like one of the most hotly contested pieces of ground in the world. Full of landmines, bombs, you name it. They were everywhere. So, very cautiously, our crew gets out of the van, pull the door open, and we see our driver standing there with a bag. And it's a bag full of beer and cigarettes. Now I get it, I know like you guys are in high school and you're not supposed to have beer and cigarettes. Quite honestly, cigarettes are gross and nasty and like you should never have those. But he had beer and cigarettes, which is the universal peace language. And we sat down on these little plastic tables, and for the first time in days, we learned our driver's name. This man that had been with us, that we hadn't taken the time to get to know. His name was Shing. And at that table, in the middle of Vietnam, 6 Americans, 1 older Vietnamese man sat, drank beer, played cards, and one of us smoked cigarettes, which was me, because it's a peace offering, even though I don't smoke. You kind of got to do it, right? And as we're sitting there around this table, waiting for another van to come, Shing tells us how much he loves America. We're floored. We're like, what? We bombed your country. We obliterated you. Like millions of people maybe were dead because of us. And he said, yeah, but look. And he pulls out his phone, and on his phone is a picture. It's a picture of two guys at a table that looked like ours. But the two guys were Anthony Bourdain, a Travel Channel host from a few years ago, and Barack Obama. Barack Obama, who was our president at the time. I'll never forget Shing looking at his phone and saying, Barack Obama in Hanoi, Anthony Bourdain, and they're eating sandwiches. And he says, I love America. And Shing's story wasn't unique. What happened as we crossed Vietnam and we brought our culture to their culture on a very macular level, we realized that Vietnamese people across the board were extremely welcoming to us. And all of these misconceptions that we had about going to a dangerous country where we weren't welcome in the middle of Asia were totally wrong. It was the best place I've ever been. So what happens when cultures collide? Great things. Amazing things. The best of humanity comes out when cultures collide. The very best. And if I could just impress one thing on you guys, it's this. Please do not be afraid of people that don't look like you, and places that don't look like where you grew up, and music that doesn't sound like the music you have heard. Hey, your teacher threw away 3 copies of the Slim Shady LP when I was in high school, and she still owes me for those. I want them back, and not the edited ones from Walmart, okay? What does it mean to be an explorer? It just means you're curious. You don't have to be sailing across the ocean in a wooden ship, sailboat, and a compass and all this. You don't have to wreck entire civilizations like Columbus and Cortez. They were horrible explorers. But you should look at people like Jane Goodall, like Neil Armstrong. Even Elon Musk, as weird as he is getting out there and learning new things. And I would encourage you guys, if you want to learn about exploration, get on Instagram. I know you guys have it open right now. Go follow The Explorers Club. You'll see a logo with a red, white, and blue flag. That is an extremely legitimate exploration organization with young people like me that are in it, that will connect with you and will talk to you and will help you get out of the bubble that you're in right now. So I want to thank Miss Beth for the opportunity that she's given me to talk to you guys. I know I ran a little long. This is near and dear to my heart. If you want to learn more, Explorers Club on Instagram, and you can read about me at soldoutblog.com. See you guys around the world, okay?